We're back for part two. Part one was a longer episode and was all about British gardening and what it's been like for Bailey working on the restoration and redevelopment of the 20-acre estate. Part two is more focused on Florida, discussing our tropical plants and gaining a British perspective on them. With that being said, this episode is more relaxed and less structured. We might ramble a bit, and it includes a funny story or two. Quick backstory for anyone just now jumping in. Bailey is head gardener at a 19th century estate in Dorset, England. We got to talking because Bailey is a listener of the Florida Gardener podcast, and he has visited Florida a few times now. My love and appreciation for British gardening runs deep. So when Bailey was kind enough to do the podcast, I was thrilled. He's a modest guy, but his experience is extremely impressive. At only 28, he has already done so much, including creating displays for the Chelsea Flower Show. We talk about this in part one, but for anyone curious, that's like the American equivalent of making it to the gardening Super Bowl. Please have a bit of grace, as this is my first time interviewing someone on the podcast, and it's Bailey's first time as a podcast guest. So without further ado, cozy up with a warm cup of tea and enjoy part two of the chat. You have an interest in just learning more about Florida's tropical flora and fauna. And I think kind of like what we were talking about later or earlier is, just simply, you just have an interest in learning about, plants that don't necessarily grow where you live, which I think is really neat and fascinating. And just, I think everything you learn helps you become a more well-rounded, gardener overall. Yeah. And obviously with this being the Florida Gardener podcast, I really wanted to dive into that as well. And you've been here a few times. So wanted to understand, right. Yeah. What parts of Florida have you visited? And I know you mentioned Tampa and what do you really like about our plants and landscapes?
I visited in February and then again in April to kind of revisit friends that I made there. And I think it's kind of slightly otherworldly to me, It's just something I've never experienced in my life, to have all of these tropical plants just growing freely outside and like happy as well. Kind of the amount of houses you go to and people have got these tropical plants inside and they're looking sad. You're giving them all the care and attention you could possibly give them. But in Florida, it seems that you just don't do anything and they're just fine. So I think it is kind of not a shock, but it's just a completely different way of looking at the landscape, It's just very fascinating to me that this place exists, that you have these tropical plants. Like as I mentioned earlier, that I've kind of been quite interested in the Mediterranean plant side of things, but it's again completely different to tropical and subtropical plants. So it's like a whole new chapter of my life that I'm like, wow, this is something new again that I kind of never even thought about, or I knew it existed, but kind of actually seeing it in person is quite incredible, really.
It's almost like they're on steroids. When you see them outside, You're like, wait, this is... I know,
you see them on steroids, like, how?
And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see like a pothos, like climbing on a tree, how big their leaves get. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all of the ones in the UK are kind of sold in the shops and they're a bit, I don't know. I have a couple here and they're happy, but the leaves aren't that big. I suppose because they're quite contained. But I suppose if they're just left to roam wildly, then the potential is quite mind-blowing. Really.
It really is. Kind of like I was saying earlier too, is I had a big interior collection, and then I just started it started slowly dwindling back, and then focusing more of my time outside as the years progressed, because I'm just like, it almost feels like cheating, if I'm being honest, because these things, I remember one of my first jobs that I did was a container garden in a very shaded area outside. Yeah. And I don't want to say it was easy, but it's like, okay, all of the interior, like all of the plants that I'm familiar with inside would probably do really well in these pots. So it's almost like even without a lot of that outdoor knowledge yet professionally, I kind of knew what to do.
It was going to be fun.
Yeah. So, really.
No, like you say, maybe it does sound a little like cheating, but it's not cheating. It's just utilizing what you have and what you already know.
Right, exactly. And then also knowing that some of them you probably shouldn't plant in ground or recommend to a passive gardener, like the pothos that will just continue to climb up your trees, or
Yeah,
Sansevieria snake plants, or because
yeah,
you do have to be a little bit careful with some of those and where you recommend them. But in a
right.
container garden, I mean, they're more than more than fine.
Yeah, I guess it's similarly kind of like things like bamboo. People plant them as
Oh
ornamental
yeah,
plants, and then next thing you know, it's kind of halfway down the street.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
totally,
you have to be quite selective for sure.
yeah. So is has the two visits, were those both in the Tampa area?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I kind of went on a solo trip in February, and then met some really amazing people, and then went back in April to see them.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, it was good timing in February to go because everything wasn't growing so much. But April was cutting it a bit fine because when I come back, there's a lot of things that started growing. So I need to plan perhaps slightly better in the future for vacation days in the spring.
Well, I was going to say that could work out well, maybe if you just come here in
Yeah,
the cooler
definitely.
months, right? And that's the best time to be here. So yeah, that would work
Yeah.
out well. And then you won't feel.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's been quite perfect actually. Kind of
Yeah,
planning like, oh, maybe I'll go back in December or January or February. It's a nice kind of winter break for me to seek some winter sun.
absolutely. Mentioning that you like the tropical plants specifically and stuff. If you're ever able to make it further south, I mean, it
Yeah,
is just kind of like how we were talking. I don't know how familiar you are with Florida, but it really is so different depending on, where you're at, very,
right.
very down where I'm at, and then kind of subtropical in the Tampa area. And then,
Mm.
in the northern part of our state, you have a little bit more flexibility with what you grow. You are getting a
Yeah,
frost.
was there not snow recently? Was it recently, like in the north of Florida,
I'm not sure if they recently had snow, but it has
or
happened
last like in
before.
the winter
Yeah.
just gone? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but and I even remember, I mean, I was really, really young, but I think even in Central Florida, because I'm from Central Florida,
Oh right.
and I
Okay.
and I think, yeah, I went to school in Tampa, about 45 minutes away is where I'm from. So
Yeah.
I think we had a little bit of snow at one point, but
Right.
Northern Florida still gets just a little bit of a taste of that. So
Right. Yeah.
um, but that was very long-winded. I guess what I was trying to ask is, do you have any, interest in exploring other parts?
Yeah.
What's on the list for future
Yeah,
travel?
definitely. I would. Yeah, I'd definitely like to go down to the south for sure. I think that'd be really interesting, as you say, because it's so different from
Hmm.
central and north. I'd like to go to explore the east coast of Florida as well. We have um, you have like New Smyrna Beach and kind of where's the other place? Is it Saint something? I can't remember what it's called.
St. Augustine.
I'd like to explore the east coast of Florida, definitely. Yeah, St. Augustine and New Smyrna Beach. And yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have so much, I haven't done so much research into the north of Florida. It's been mainly kind of, central and a bit of south. I think I'd prefer to kind of visit the south of Florida before I visited the north. But I mean, I'm not set on that. I'm open to just exploring the state, really.
Well, it seems like you're a pretty personable guy, and I mean, if you made friends on your first trip to Tampa, I mean, I'm sure wherever you end up, I mean, you'll
I like to try. Yeah, it's super, super cool. I mean, I haven't been anywhere else in Florida, but I really like it. One of the original reasons I went there out of anywhere else was because obviously being a skateboarder, you've got the skate park at Tampa, which is huge. So I've always
yeah.
been interested in that. So went to go and
Okay,
visit that. So that was
cool.
cool.
I think
Um,
it's like South Florida, there's so much opportunity, so much wealth. It's a great place for a gardener. I mean,
yeah,
but I think that, like, sometimes there's a lot of, tourism, and the flashiness can sometimes put people off down here.
right.
And then
Miami,
Orlando
I
is,
think,
I'm sorry.
it's heard. Like Miami's, I guess, a very kind of bumping place.
Yeah, very bumping, lots of nightlife, and yeah, it's definitely super crazy. And then Orlando
Mm.
is, Disney World essentially, so people equate it
Yeah,
to. But Tampa, in my opinion, it's a big enough city where, like, you have access to stuff and jobs and things like that, but it's
yeah,
kind of like edgy, and there's
it is.
also,
Yeah,
yeah, and there's just like character there, and you have like some really cool
definitely.
funky neighborhoods like Seminole Heights.
Oh yeah, I stayed near Seminole Heights. I went to a
Okay.
brewery in Heights. I think it's Angry Chair. But so I stayed in what did I say? Tampa Heights. So I was exploring a lot of do you know Ybor?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know Ybor.
That's
Yeah.
like that's my jam because of being a
Yeah.
skateboarder. I love kind of like dive bars, and I mean I like downtown as well, but
Uh-huh.
Ybor I really kind of was my favorite place, if I'm honest with you.
Now at 36, I don't feel like I talk to anyone. All my friends have kids and then we're all like in different
Yeah.
places and moved around. But like back then, I had like friend group that was like hardcore into like skateboarding and stuff like that. And
Oh
it's funny
really?
because like we would hang out in Ybor. Like, I never skated, but like, and then like
Yeah.
all the bars and the breweries and like
Yeah, that's so
restaurants,
cool.
just yeah, it's a cool vibe for sure.
Cool like dive bars there.
Did you
Pretty
see all
cool.
the crazy chickens running around? I don't know if you
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Very familiar with the chickens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
So anyway, I guess I say all of that to say that if you picked any city to go to in Florida to start your journey, I think Tampa
Mm.
was a good one in my opinion. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm
yeah,
open to everything really. I mean,
yeah,
there's more to explore. So
absolutely. As far as like tropical plants go, and with a lot of house plants being tropical plants, I'm just kind of curious if you have, any favorites. Um,
mm.
yeah, when it comes to that.
I don't think I could pinpoint an exact favorite. I'm not very good at choosing favorites. They're all great. Depends on which one's playing ball, I suppose. So as what I have at the moment in my house, so I have a Ficus elastica.
Okay. The rubber
But I
plant,
actually,
right?
yeah, but I
Hmm.
actually propagated that when I was at college from a leaf that was kind of, yeah, we got given a leaf and kind of propagated that. So I've actually taken that. It's doing good. It's got quite tall now. So that's probably one of the more sentimental plants that I have, just because I've had it for such a long time and I grew it from a leaf.
Yeah, so that's a more difficult one to root, in my
Yeah,
opinion. So that's
yeah. I
awesome.
mean, I think it's just before Christmas at college. We got given this leaf, and we had a designated propagation area, so it was all heated and things like that. And I come back after the Christmas break, I was like, oh wow, it worked. So kind of kept it ever since, and it's just
Mhm.
grown and grown. It's getting quite established now. Um,
Funny
so
how you
yeah,
can
we have
become. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
attached. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. So I have an aloe vera, pothos as well, a couple of those, monstera. I actually have a philodendron as well, which was part of. There's an office planting job in London when I was working for the botanical gardener, and they had an abundance, or they had too many of the philodendrons, so I was able to take one back. So it's doing well also. I mean, a lot of them are just accumulated from old jobs and things like
Yeah.
that. I don't tend to go out and buy them unless there's something like really attractive or interesting. Then I'll buy it. But a lot of the plants here I've just kind of accumulated over time, and then taking cuttings from the monstera and pothos as well to create more plants. A couple of cuttings on the go at the moment. I also have a Madagascan palm tree as well, which I did buy, and it's in kind of the glass house outside, and it seems really happy at the moment. I'd like to get that in a bigger pot and just keep growing it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the collection that I have. But yeah, going back to favorites, kind of in Florida, is it bougainvilleas? I don't know if that's like I don't know. You say plants to some people, and they're like, "How can you like that? It's so invasive and kind of takes over." So I don't know if that's like an issue plant for you guys.
Just observing it in the
Mm.
landscape, I wouldn't say it gets too out of hand, in my opinion, compared to some other
Okay.
stuff. I mean, someone may disagree with me on that. So
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah, I'm
they're
sure there's
really
one
beautiful.
that's always getting away.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really beautiful.
Just because it's so different to me. It's like a
Oh
very
yeah,
kind of vibrant plant, and
absolutely.
they have them a lot in Greece as well. So I think growing up seeing
Oh
them
yeah.
in
Hmm.
Greece and the south of France and things, I was always quite fascinating. There's always like an amazing carpet of kind of like
Yeah.
vertical color, and it's
No,
always kind of
absolutely.
quite mind blowing, like how vibrant it can be. But then, yeah, it was also a tree that I found whilst I was in Florida. Is it a hydranthus, the golden trumpet tree?
Okay. I think it has yellow flowers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I know
was
what you're
like,
talking about.
yeah, it was. Well, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was fake.
Those are really, really pretty.
They're
Yeah.
the two that stand out. I just like vibrant colors.
I did want to ask you, are there any, misconceptions or just anything that you think maybe people don't, know, whether it's about like English gardening or just about gardening in general?
If I'm honest, yeah, I couldn't really think of a misconception off the top of my head.
Okay, I guess, and you kind of answered it. I didn't know if, once again, I'm just speaking for myself. I don't necessarily, maybe not all Americans feel this way, but I just always had this idea of it being like this dreamy cottage garden, type of feel. But I mean, you're growing cottage gardens right now on the estate. So apparently, that really isn't
it is not a stereotype.
Yeah.
I guess I don't want to keep going back to the weather because it seems like all British people talk about is the weather. Conception, I suppose, is kind of that it rains all the time, but in the spring and the summer and autumn this year particularly has been quite amazing. I mean, I'm sure we'll get all of the rain in the winter, but yeah, it's not as bad as I don't think people let on. But even British people will say that it rains all the time, but from my experience recently, it hasn't. So
when you're actually spending time out, like anything, right? Like you're actually noticing, the weather patterns, and maybe it isn't as rainy as we might think. Yeah,
I think it's something you obviously need to be very in tune with is the weather. Whereas the people that don't work in the industry, kind of if they're working office jobs, they'll kind of just be inside all the time. And at the weekend, if it rains when they have the spare time, then it's like, oh well, it rains all the time.
Totally. I mean, it's always warm down here, but there'll be like a 5-degree drop in temperature, and I'm like, the weather is amazing, and then people are like, oh no, it's hot, it's miserable. I'm like, this is excellent. I will take this. Yeah.
I mean, when I visited in February, it was quite amazing. The change from here in February to there.
Yeah, that's the best time to come, in my opinion. January and February are the 2 months that are great, but really November through February, March.
Yeah. I would like to come and visit in the summer just to see, just to experience it.
Yeah. Well, don't know how much of a summer you want, but the most intense months are July through September, especially August and September. So if you're up for it, you can.
August is.
Yeah. And then you can experience the worst of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like fun.
And then, do you have any advice that you would give to new gardeners? Is there like one specific thing that sticks out, or?
I think one thing that really springs to mind is, sure, you can go and do these courses, which are great to learn how to garden. I mean, it really kind of sets the base to learn about the principles and gives you a good foundational kind of knowledge, which is amazing. It's definitely a platform to work from. But I think, I don't know, I've heard a lot of people in the past say, oh, I'm not very good at it, or nothing just seems to grow for me, or it just doesn't work. Like I've never been good at it. But I think it's just a case of not being afraid to just experiment with planting and locations and taking cuttings. And sure, sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. And I think it's just important not to be disheartened from a bad experience or if it doesn't work. Because it's like you can do as much as you can do, but at the end of the day, it's kind of out of your control. So I think it's be quite surprising as to what you can achieve if you do a little bit of research and go from there. I mean, it's not the end of the world if something dies. I know sometimes it could be pricey, right? I think if you just start off with smaller plants, it's pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is, having the education, the book knowledge is great, but it's the hands-on, the trial and error, that's really what.
Yeah, because you could learn about everything there is to know in the industry, but then applying it to the location, it's completely different. Like you could be sat at home as a designer, knowing all of these things, but it might not necessarily work for the site that you're designing. So I think it's important to just put things into practice and kind of learn from past, like you say, trial and error, and just move from there, really.
I love that. I've heard that, someone once said, like, the best gardeners have killed the most plants, and I totally think that's true.
That sounds a bit more poetic than my rambling now.
But yeah, I actually never went back to school for horticulture, so it was just all kind of hands. I mean, I did take in the beginning. I took like some basic like online courses and got a little bit of experience working for a landscape company part-time for a few months all in the very early stages before Roots actually went full time. But essentially everything that I know has been just hands-on. But you also need to understand what you're capable of and what your limits are, and then lean on other experts when something is out
definitely.
of your scope.
If you've got a couple of minutes, I have like not a funny story, but when I first moved to London, so to get a job in London, a lot of places you had to be a resident there.
Okay.
But to become a resident there, you had to prove that you were working there. So it was a bit of like a catch-22.
Chicken or the egg, yeah.
Exactly. So when I applied for the London job, I wasn't in London, but my friend was living in London at the time, so I used their address. And so whilst this was all kind of in the pot, like working, so I'd sent my application to the job. I also sent an application to move into a flat in London, or a condo, I'm not sure what you call them, but like an apartment in London. But then, so I applied for both of these things. But before, so the accommodation had to get a reference from my job to confirm that I was in fact working and I could afford to pay it. So before my boss from the botanical gardener was able to talk to me, the housing company messaged or emailed my boss to get a reference from him to say that I had a job. I'm really worried that it was me being pretentious and being like overconfident, like, oh, I'm definitely going to get the job. Got fine in the end. Like, yeah, he's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable as well. Yeah, no, it's just a bit of an awkward situation. Because in the interview when I went, he was like, oh, it looks like you've already got this job because I had a request from the housing company that you've got a job with me. I was like, oh
gosh. I promise I'm not pretentious.
I promise. Like I was expecting to get this job. No, it worked out well. He was he was from Cornwall, with the subtropical plants. So he's always trying to sneak in subtropical plants into London spaces.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like his thing. Yeah, some really cool plants actually. Like bananas and tetrapanax as well.
I don't know that one. What is that? Let me try to look it up.
But they're kind of like, they have lots of, when you prune them, they're kind of dusty. So they're kind of, they can choke you out a little if you're not careful.
Okay.
It's kind of like all of this dust floating around.
Interesting.
But he loves those. That's just like, he tries to sneak one in every garden.
That's hilarious.
It's nice to kind of talk about what I'm doing. I occasionally talk to people about what I do, but I kind of only really understand to a level. Someone that's not working in the industry, it's unless they're interested, of course, But like, if you tell people that you kind of work on or manage an estate, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And they don't really know like details or the ins and outs of like what it entails. So it's like difficult to kind of portray exactly what the job entails, So finding someone like yourself, it's nice to be able to discuss this and kind of go through these things,
Totally. I think people underestimate too the amount, and once again, if you're not doing it, then you don't understand, and that's understandable. But the amount of work, that it takes, and like just to keep things, not even to add anything new, right? But just to keep it looking. It's like
exactly. Like people in London, it's kind of like you have these really wealthy people that just pay whatever just to have their garden looking good, and it's almost like sometimes. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the clients are really happy and they're lovely. But then you get the occasional people that kind of think they're better than everyone else, and they don't want to see you. There's a house that I worked at it's in St John's Wood actually, and it's like pristine white interior. Garden was really nice, and he was like, I want my garden looking like something from the Chelsea Flower Show. And I was like, right. I mean, you do know the Chelsea Flower Show is constructed specifically for 2 weeks to show the most amazing, like it's not sustainable. I was just trying to explain to him, like he just thought it was going to be an easy thing that I could do, and I was like, look, like I can make it look good, and it looks good already, but like you need to lower your expectations here. Like no one can do this. You want someone to come in and like replace plants every week.
Totally understand that, and I kind of like most of my clients are great, and they understand that plants are living organism, but like you get those that don't really kind of understand that, and they'll, see a leaf yellowing or whatever it
Yeah,
might
like, oh my
be,
God,
or
it's
it's
dying. I know it's
and
fine. It's just the autumn.
yes, yes. It's like, so it's just managing client expectations of what they're
Yeah,
expecting. I totally, understand that. Or they'll see something, at a garden
yeah.
show or like
But
in a
then
magazine, right?
it was stressful in London, honestly. Like, I could go on, like finding parking, the amount of tickets I got from like boxes that you can't stop in, and like logistics was a nightmare. So I had a work van. Say, for example, I did a huge job, and I'd like have loads of kind of green waste in the van. But then, like the next morning, for example, I'd have to go to the market and pick up flowers and plants for a client throughout the day. So then I was like this battle of like, do I go to the, what do you call it, a tip?
like waste
Yeah.
management areas and recycling centers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there'd be like I need to get plants, but there's no room in my van to put these plants. So I need to go to the tip before. So I'd end up leaving at like 5 a.m. to go to the tip to then to the market. And it's just chaos. I remember picking up a ton of plants for a client, and then I got COVID, so I wasn't able to leave the house but they were just sat in my van. So I had to like sneak out in the middle of the night to go and water them and like give them some air. I had $500 worth of plants in the van that were just dying because I couldn't tend to them. Like they needed to be cared for, and I was just like, I'm leaving. I need to leave, like to tend to them. So I snuck out in the night.
That's great.
Kind of
Yeah, the crazy things you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's not my money, but at the end of the day, it's still like I don't want them to die. Like I've gone to the effort to go and pick them up.
Totally. Yeah. And I kind of understand, what you're getting at too. I mean, it just must, very stressful in some respects, but a little bit more relaxed in others working on this estate because South Florida can get really busy, and I'm working in a lot of urban areas. So I understand like just the logistics and figuring out all of that. And I'm constantly in parking garages and just trying to navigate. Yeah. So I totally get that. There's a lot of wealth down here. I'm very fortunate, probably like some of these areas you're talking about in London. So these buildings, my clients, like they want everything pristine, but they also have a lot of resources. So
exactly. You can just switch plants out if they want them. And
like
that's good. It's good if they have high expectations, but the resources to fund it,
Yeah. I understand though what you're saying too. Like for the most part, like everybody's fine, but there are some jobs where it just feels like people look at you so lowly. And that's something, like you might as well just be, like this deadbeat, like on the road. It's like you're just, and it used to bother me, but now I'm like, you know what? Like I take a lot of pride in what I do. And I think just, you should never, treat, it doesn't matter, how someone looks, right, or whatever. Everybody deserves basic respect. I would rather you treat me like this than see me, not that I own a Rolex, but like then see me, on a night out with a Rolex and then treat me.
And that's what I based you on. Exactly. So. But at the end of the day, like there are people like us, then like people like that won't have nice gardens, so like they're not going to do it themselves, are they?
Exactly. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you, if it's okay with you, is I do love when people have like varied, interests and have an interesting path where they got to, and because I'm very much the same way. And I think in the beginning too, I was a little like intimidated because I'm like, well, I didn't take this like cookie cutter path, and I don't have a background in this or have connections or have a family of, professional gardeners. So anyway, I say all that to say, you were a skateboard instructor in New York for a little bit, and I'd love to, hear a little bit more about that and how that happened.
So I think it's the day where I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with my career path and things like that, and I was always skateboarded my whole life, and so I was always very interested in kind of the skateboard culture in the States, and I was always very interested in visiting. And so I turned 18, and I kind of applied to work at a summer camp, and there was a summer camp in upstate New York. It's in the Roscoe area. I don't know how familiar you are. I think it's quite a small town, because even at kind of Port Authority in New York, they were even a bit confused as to where I was trying to get to. So I worked as a skateboard instructor, as a camp counselor, but primarily a skateboard instructor. Every day I'd kind of the kind of residents of the camp would be taking electives, and if they chose to skate, then I'd teach them to skate kind of throughout the day. So I did that for 3 summers in a row. So I made some really good friends and allowed me to travel a lot more of the States. But yeah, that's that story.
I guess that was like your first exposure to the US too, as far as like visiting.
Yeah. And it was quite a big jump, kind of turning 18. I think my parents were slightly worried. So as soon as I turned 18, I was kind of about 3 or 4 months after I turned 18, I was on the way to America. And yeah, it was a big step. But yeah, I'm so glad I did it. Like I said, it allowed me to kind of explore a few different states and experience different kind of climates and cultures and things like that. Second time I went, me and my friend that I made, the first year we went to California and did 2 weeks in
cool.
we did LA and like the Venice Beach area. Like, is that maybe the London equivalent of flying to California? Everyone goes to LA.
Yeah, LA is definitely the equivalent. That in New York City.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting place. Definitely interesting. I mean, I didn't have a car, so everything was just so far away. So, but it was fun as an experience. I always wanted to go to California as a skateboarder too. There's some amazing skate parks. So it was really cool checking that out. And then, yeah, the third time ended up going to Colorado for a few weeks after. I did do San Francisco actually. That was really cool. I like San Fran. Nice. That was last year or the year before, because we flew from San Francisco to Vancouver and then we did like British Columbia. So.
Man, you are well traveled. I think that there are a lot of people in our own country that have not been to as many places as you have. So it's so
I mean,
big.
if you have all of the things you can do in America and Canada, then like you can see why people don't travel. Yeah. Even to fly to South to North Florida, I can imagine it's quite a clip. So.
Or even, I mean, if you're in the Keys, I mean, good luck. You're not going anywhere. That's a whole nother area too. If you're just like interested in learning about other places in our state, the Keys definitely. I mean, I feel like that's not even South. I don't even know what you would consider the Keys. It's its own little Caribbean,
thing. Surely, getting down to the way. That's also another quite mind-blowing factor is that you can get to the Caribbean in a matter of, well, how long does it take for you to fly to? I'm rambling now, but yeah, but like here it's like a very exclusive kind of like, oh, you're going to the Caribbean, like very fancy kind of decadent holiday. Whereas like for you guys, it's just a couple of hours, maybe. I don't know.
Totally. From where I'm at in just like, South Florida, you can easily take a boat to the Bahamas, no problem for the day.
A popular way of traveling now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me personally, I just, it's something that you just grow up around it. So it's like, I don't want to go somewhere.
It's just there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to go to because it's so inexpensive for us. So it is nice. Like if you're looking for like a quick trip, it's so cheap. But I would much rather, go somewhere.
That's the same, I suppose. I suppose for us, like a quick trip, you can get to Spain or France or Italy in a space of kind of a couple of hours on the plane. So maybe it's like, I've been to a few European countries growing up, but I suppose maybe not. I'm not saying it's the equivalent at all, but like the distance equivalent, or like growing up with the accessibility of, or kind of the ability to travel to these places in quite a short amount of time and for fairly cheap as well.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, that actually reminds me, when I was in Spain, we met a group of people and they were all from England. So
it's a popular destination because it's good weather.
But I appreciate you, taking the time to, do this with me. It has been a few months in the making. And I appreciate all the time and thought you put into it as well. It's very, very appreciated.
Thanks again for kind of taking the time and acknowledging or like continuing to converse with me via email. Like you said, it's been a little time in the making, and I'm glad that we were able to make it happen. So bit of a strange spot, because like visiting Florida, I was like, wow, this is amazing, and then coming back here, I had a bit of like post kind of vacation blues, and I was like, oh, I want to go back and things like that. So that's when I started listening to the podcast, and it made me feel a bit closer to Florida, and learning more about that. I definitely agree.
And that, my friends, wraps up part 2 of the interview. If you want to keep the conversation going, I encourage you to connect with Bailey. He's planning a 3rd trip here this winter. If you have a neat spot he should check out, whether it's a botanical garden, a hidden gem in Florida that no one knows about, a neat plant you're growing at home, or even a cool skate or surf spot, He is very interested in all things the Sunshine State. His email will be in the show notes. All right, well, that's all I've got. I really hope you guys enjoyed the conversations with Bailey. It was really special to me, and I hope it was enjoyable to listen to, I guess. We'll be back to our standard programming with the next episode, and look forward to seeing you then.